Do you want to have any opening comments, or do you want me to start?
Oh, you can go ahead and start. Yeah, okay. We do takeaways on the team page there, so unless you want to do them.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to hear some takeaways. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to call number 3. I've been hearing from Krista. Very exciting news. Krista, if you want to mute everyone, would be awesome. Thank you, except me. I hear from Krista some wonderful news that there's been some activity and results. And so what I would like to do is open it up for some takeaways. All you need to do is unmute your phone, give me your first name, and let's have a takeaway. Last week's call, PACE, the benefits of PACE, what stops PACE, silver, fast, more silvers, quick start gold. So why don't we open it up and have some takeaways? My friends, the call is yours.
I have a takeaway.
Okay, who's this?
It's Tanya, sorry.
Hi, Tanya.
Hey, so I was pretty fired up. I still am pretty fired up about setting the pace and really challenging. Although, I can't go for Fast Start Gold, really training my new people that's the way we're going. So I jumped off this and immediately started preparing a new ambassador training for the new add-ons that we've had over the last little while on the team. And wow, we have an accountability group for new ambassadors. And one of our ambassadors went silver yesterday, Tammy. She's on the call. I know, right? So that has really, I guess, ignited the fire in my team. So really just kind of shared a lot of those principles and poured into them that positivity, and this is what we're doing, not we are going to try to do this. And really, it was amazing. It was electric. It really was.
See, people want to be directed. And then not everybody's going to jump, but the people who are raring to jump, you direct them accordingly, they're going to jump. Tammy's a perfect example. Now, they pay me to listen. So what I heard you say is, I can't go Fast Start Gold. Okay, what you can do is duplicate the activities of Fast Start Gold.
Right.
And set that example, and I would say go for it. Yeah.
Well, and actually that's what the training was too, is that we're all going to do this together, no matter if we're not eligible for the gold coin. We all are still going to grow in that way. Right. That was the challenge.
So good. And then you point out to them, the reason we do this is, number one, we get the feel of that rhythm. We get the feel of what it takes. We completely shift our perspective of what it does take to go to Fast Start Gold because we're doing it. And also remind them, regardless of the outcome, even if they don't make it, don't confuse the fact that they didn't with the fact that other people can and do, and we should still hold other people up to them. You're going to save that for this person that doesn't make it. And you're going to point out to them, don't confuse the fact that you didn't do it with the fact that it's doable. And you'll point out to them how much farther along they've come in their business simply from setting it as a goal than have they not set it as a goal.
Right on.
Right on. Where's my bell? Hold on. Bam. Well done. See, and also I think this is a great example of leaders set the pace. What we say, what we do duplicates. You said it was electric. They want it to be electric. They want to catch fire. They want to move their business. And we're so busy playing small in some cases, and now you see the difference. Now you see the difference of holding everyone up as a champion, and the right people will move forward. Yep, it's a great leadership lesson. Well done. All right, somebody else? That was good.
More juice, put it in the fridge, then go to the bathroom.
Somebody else? Well, but a takeaway from last week. You need to unmute your phone.
I have a takeaway.
Hey, Nancy.
It's a little hard. It's a little hard. Hi, Nancy speaking. I am hiding behind my texts. And I've been in this a couple of years now, and I didn't realize that I didn't need to have somebody's phone number until last week in order to have a call with them through Facebook or whatever. I just realized that last week. And anyway, I feel like I'm falling behind things in the run of things here. And it's just, yeah, I'm hiding behind my text. I'm finding it very difficult to reach out to people. So
all right. So I'm glad you shared this. So first of all, it's a positive thing when you realize something that you're doing that you can get better at. So I don't want you to feel bad. I mean, look, you're sitting in the dark even. All right, turn the light on. I mean, I can tell by your attitude. Just because you've been hiding behind your text doesn't mean everything you've done, Nance, is not going well. All right, that's what I hear. There's just one area. You're doing a lot of things well. There's just one area you're going to do better. If you don't have their phone number on Facebook, some good language to use is to use geography. So let's say they're in Nova Scotia. You could write them and say, hey, my business is expanding to Nova Scotia, so of course I thought of you. Here's my phone number, send me yours. Let's have a quick chat, I could use your help. That is proven language. I don't want you to start beating yourself up or start feeling bad or feel like you're falling behind. I want it to fire you up, create more joy, open you up, work your list. If you don't know who to call or how to do it, talk to your sponsor or someone in your upline. Make a plan and take action. Don't sit in the dark all by yourself. Turn around and remind yourself, I'm a backwoods babe. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. All right? I mean it. When we find out, when we identify something that we haven't been doing well, you cannot sit in the dark by yourself and just noodle on it. The collaborative aspect of this profession is one of the most beautiful parts of it. So put your hand out and find someone and take action.
Sitting on it and noodling it is the easy thing out. It's the easy out.
Oh, right. Well, I'm telling you, don't do that. I'm trying to nicely kick your ass so you don't do that.
I gotcha.
Okay. So I want you to call, Jen, like that one. I want you to call, unless your 5-year-old's sitting right next to her. I want you to call. Who's your sponsor, Nance?
Right now, Krista.
Okay. So you're going to make an appointment to talk to Krista, and you're going to identify 10 people and what it's going to take. How you can start with text. You can start the outreach with text, but that you want to drive them to a phone call as quickly as possible. So you've got half it down. You've got 50% of it down. Wired, actually. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, all right. And Krista, hold her accountable. Like in the next 24 hours. Because the longer you sit there and make stuff up, Nancy, the harder it gets to act. All right. Very good. Nancy, I'm knuckle bumping you. All right. All right. It's important. And this is just part of leadership. People, if they're not happy or they're frustrated and they try to be by themselves, we gotta help them. We gotta help them. Only if they want to help themselves. So Nancy, only if you want to help yourself. Chris is there for you. And remember, you're a backwoods babe, which sounds pretty good, actually. All right, let's go into today's training. Then we're going to open it up for more takeaways. So let's think about what we've done. We started with mindset, getting your head in the game. That impacted a lot of people. Last week we talked about pace, right? Tanya went wild over pace, and a lot of you, which is awesome, right? Which you should. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the fundamentals. Today we're going to talk about the fundamentals, those fundamental skills that will drive success, so will help create success in your business. I do so many of these calls, and so often people want a magic bullet, right? They want magic language or a magic activity, and you know what, you guys, there just isn't. There just isn't. If there was, we would have figured it out a long time ago, and if there was, Krista would know about it, and she'd be training you on it. There just isn't. There are, however, fundamentals. And for those of you who are sports fans, right, okay, it's Canadian, so hockey will be my sport analogy for the call, right? Even though I haven't seen a lot of hockey because there just isn't a lot of hockey in San Diego, but I've seen a couple games. Here's the thing. If you look at hockey, if you look at any sport, you look at hockey, there's some fundamentals to the game, right? What are the fundamentals of hockey? Skating, passing, shooting. Am I forgetting one? Seems to be the fundamentals of the game, right? So these athletes go out there day in and day out, every week, and they practice what? The fundamentals. They practice skating. They practice teamwork. They practice passing the puck. They practice shooting the puck. I mean, over and over and over again. Okay, so when the game's on the line, and they take the ice, they have the muscle memory, this muscle memory. It's like, get me the puck. Like they know, man, I can do this. Get me the puck and I'm going to score. Or put me in the right position and I'll do my part. You know, they just have this muscle memory. You can see it. No, I don't know if you can see it in hockey. I'm a big basketball fan. In basketball, see their eyes. I don't know if in hockey you can see their eyes. At any rate, their body language and their posture. You know, get them the buck, get them the buck, get them the buck, because certain people perform. But why do they perform when the game's on the line? Because they've developed memory. They haven't been fiddle farting around trying to reinvent the wheel, make up new stuff. They are focused on the fundamentals. It's the same thing with your direct selling business. Fundamentals that we do over and over again. So often, ambassadors or new emergers, they want something new. Like, give me something new. It's the shiny object syndrome. Have you ever heard about that? The birds flying over the shiny object. Well, if I give you something new all the time, how are you ever going to learn the fundamentals? I did a gig a few weeks ago in a city I've been to before. I went to New York for another company, went to New York, and you know, hundreds of people there. A guy comes out of the audience. He pulls up his notebook at the break and he says, I've seen you 4 times, and he's the top leader. I've seen you 4 times, and I just took 30 pages of notes. I talked for 5 hours, 30 pages of notes. And I looked at him and said, you know what that's an example of? Repetition. You know, and he says, I know this stuff, but it's reinforcing it. Yes, exactly. This is why I repeat. This is why as leaders, you repeat, and as ambassadors, you repeat your actions. So you repeat your training and your action. In fact, if I had to come up with one word to lead off this segment, it would be repetition. Like if I had to come up with one word with regards to the fundamentals, it would be repetition. Over and over and over again, so that you can develop the muscle memory or the skills. Really, for me, it's the authenticity in your ability to speak to people, to talk to people about your products, talk to people about your business. When you're in practice, you come across more authentic. You don't come across like you're trying to persuade or you're trying to talk them into it, or worse, that you're coming across desperate, like, oh shit, I need a customer, right? Or, oh man, I got to really sponsor an ambassador. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about you sharing your authentic passion and giving them an opportunity to decide if this is a fit for them, either from a product standpoint or a business standpoint. Does this make sense? Nod yes. Yep. That only comes from repetition and practice. When you go days, weeks without talking to people, you don't have that polish. You don't have that practice. You don't have that repetition. And then what happens? You get the opportunity. You're out and about. You meet someone. You have a lovely conversation. What are you thinking in your head? Ooh, boy, I'd love to talk to her about Plexus. She's fabulous, but you don't. You don't, because the words aren't there, because you're not in practice. And so you get in your car and you do the whole Charlie Brown impersonation where your head goes on the dashboard and you're like, oh gosh, or, you know, the words arg would come across, you know, in the Charlie Brown commercial, right? Because you missed the opportunity. And that's all you can think about. I should have talked to her. Why didn't I talk to her? Because you're out of practice. This is make the case to talk to people every day. 3 days is too long. 7 days is too long. 10 days is too long not talking to people. How can you stay in practice? We don't need 40 hours a week. It's what we do in the hours that we have. You want to talk to people every day. And people ask me all the time, well, how many people do I have to talk to? My honest answer is more people than you're talking to now. That's my answer. More than you're talking to now. I can't set a number. I don't know you. I'm not your coach. I don't want to tell you 10 if 10 is too much for you. I don't want to tell you 10 if 10 is not enough for you. So you cannot control most anything in this business. That I will agree with. We are not in control of most anything. There is, however, one thing we are in control of, and that's the number of new people we talk to and how fast we talk to them. Right? The number of new people we talk to and how fast we talk to them. That's where we have control. And that's where you develop your muscle memory. And that's where you develop your social skills. All right, so if we were going to look at, there's a lot of aspects to your system. If we were going to look at the fundamentals, I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 of them. I believe it can be this simple. I think people tend to overcomplicate it a little bit. And I think it can be this simple. Okay, so if looking back next week, if pace is our ether, if pace is the air we breathe, right? What is our foundation? Our foundation is our reason why. And I find for many newer ambassadors, and even for some top leaders, they underestimate the importance of a why. They underestimate the importance of that reason why. And I'm saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Here's how I want you to think about the why. When you do not have a clear, compelling why for building your Plexus business, it's too easy not to act. It's too easy to make excuses. It's too easy to do something more fun or easier. It's too easy to quit. It's too easy to be in denial. When, on the other hand, you do have a clear, compelling why for your business, you will walk over glass. You will do what it takes. You will find the joy in talking to people. A clear, compelling why is a driver. It is a driver. It drives your consistency. It drives your courage. It drives your self-accountability. It drives your willingness to act. It drives you through those activities that make you uncomfortable or take you out of your comfort zone. It drives you out of any slump you've been in. Like, I go to my why on a regular basis. I review my why on a regular basis. We all have different reasons why. I have business-wise and personal-wise. I imagine most everybody's that way, business-wise and personal-wise. So my personal why, I'm 57. I've been divorced for 7 years. We just split everything even, Steven. We made the same amount of money, so there's no spousal support or anything. And so I'll tell you just quickly, my why, a big part of my personal why is to create a successful business, which I have, and continue to have a successful business so I can live a certain lifestyle and have the security of being on my own so that I'm not dependent. I'm finding a man, to cover my bills, right? And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I'm sure there's a lot of women like that. So I'm going to come to the table with a different mindset. I'm not needy. And I like that. That's part of my why. Now, that's my personal why. That doesn't drive my creativity. That doesn't drive my inspiration. That doesn't drive the different ways I, when I speak or write or whatnot. That's a personal why. I have my own business whys that drive all those things. I see myself walking the stage like a Tony Robbins. There are few women that walk those global stages and talk about wealth and possibilities. It's usually older white guys, if you really think about it and look at it. There's no diversity. There's very few women on that stage. I feel that there's hundreds of thousands of women that should have a role model that talk about unlimited possibilities. That would be one of my business whys. That drives my creativity, the hours that I put in, the effort I give my clients. Okay, so you all have, and I review these things. I think about these things a lot. This is how you become a successful entrepreneur. Right now, for many people, what stops you from moving forward? Things are good enough. Like, I could go all day on settling, and I'm not going to, right? But this is going to be the theme of my TED Talk. People settle. People settle. Why? Because things are good enough. And when things are good enough, we don't act. That's why we call it good enough. So knowing this, I review my why on a regular basis so that I don't settle. I try not to settle in any area of my life. I'm trying to be very conscious about that. So I want you to think about your Plexus business. You can think about your personal life at another time, and I highly recommend you do. But I have you think about your Plexus business. Think about your title. Think about your points. Think about your check. Think about your sponsoring pace. And just know I'm not asking you to beat yourself up. I want you to just ask candidly, are you settling? Like, are you at a certain title and things are getting up? Bills are paid, things are cool, got a roof over my head. Shit, I don't need to do this. Are you settling? What's driving you to build a successful Plexus business? I don't know, but I want you to know. I want you to know. And it's different for everybody. And so I share some of my personals just to give you the example. When it's compelling and it's clear, it will drive you to take action. It will drive you to take action. So homework, revisit your why. Revisit your why. What is driving you to build a successful Plexus business? And or are things good enough and are you settling, which is why you've been stuck and not moving forward? This is big stuff that a lot of people take for granted and or underestimate. All right, reason why. What else do we have for a fundamental skill? Stories, storytelling, right? Your ability to craft your results into a compelling, brief story. Why do we tell stories? For a variety of reasons. And what's the difference of storytelling versus talking? Okay, you may have heard, you've probably heard the phrase, facts tell, stories sell, right? You've all heard that, facts tell, stories sell. So if I'm going to give you the facts, A, B, C, D, yeah, you get it. But when I tell you the story about how it's changed my life or how it's giving me joy or how it's making a difference for my family, that's different. We hear it in a different way. We hear it in a different way. So I want you to think about, and this is a fundamental skill. This is just like passing the puck. It's just like shooting the puck. This is a fundamental skill. So there's 3 main stories that you have. You've got your product results. So you all have some type of product results from taking the Plexus products. And here's something I want you to remember from a business building standpoint. A new ambassador does not need to have her ultimate product results to begin selling the products. I want y'all to know that. Like, I come from nutrition. I worked with a lot of people that before they got the weight off or before they lowered their cholesterol, before they got their product results, they were already building a team because they were keen on the business side, right? Your business side has been proven. So it's not a question of whether or not she gets the results on the products or whether or not she wants to do the business. Those can be mutually exclusive. Does this make sense? Right? So she can begin building her business and continue to work on creating her product story. People do not have to wait 30, 60, 90 days to get their product results before they start their business. That's important to remember. You have your product story. You've got your business story. How your Plexus business is or will make a difference in your life, in your family's life, in your lifestyle, in your options. Okay, so I'm going to give you a real quick outline. An outline for packaging your business story. Okay, everybody got their paper and pencil ready? It's really simple, really easy. Number 1, what do you do for a living? Right? I'm a teacher. I'm a realtor. I'm a stay-at-home mom. How long have you been doing it? I've been a teacher for 10 years. I've been a realtor for 12 years. I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 8 years. Okay, what do you like about it? I've been a teacher for 10 years. Working with these kids, I feel like I'm really making a difference in their lives. Okay, I've been a realtor for the last 12 years. Helping people with, for most, is the largest investment they're ever going to make, and make sure that it goes smoothly. I take a lot of pride in that. I've been a stay-at-home mom. Being home with the kids these past 8 years, priceless. Okay, you get my drift, everybody? Give me a couple nods, okay? What don't you like? Okay, so I've been a teacher. Working with the kids makes a big difference, but I gotta tell you, man, the politics, the pay's really bad. The parents can be very frustrating, okay? Tend to be the most usual, what they don't dig about teaching, which is a shame. And I will not get off on my soapbox on how we are not taking care of our teachers. I've been a realtor for 12 years. What's hard for realtors? God, the hours, right? The hours away from my family. Like I work days, weekends, evenings. I'm on perpetual on call, right? That's what realtors are, perpetually on call. Okay, now for a stay-at-home mom, it's rare mom's just going to come out and say, man, I just don't dig being with the kids. Okay, we don't hear that very much. All right, but there are challenges for the stay-at-home mom, and you just ask questions and find out. What are some of the more common ones? I hear women say things like, when my youngest went away to school, when my youngest went away from school, I realized, wow, you know, I had this big education and I used to love work. And then I've been a mom for these years. And even though I dig it, you know, I was craving more, right? I wanted to create something. I wanted to build something. I wanted to hang out with adults, right? Maybe they say, just because my husband has been able to cover all the bills, we didn't have a lot of extra money. We didn't have a lot of play money. We didn't have a lot of fun money. Maybe we weren't able to save, right? Or maybe it's just that, you know, I want to contribute. Once the youngest went away to school, it was my time. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to bring in some money. You know, I wanted to contribute financially. Or maybe it's the money that I earn from my business allows us to start a savings account that we've never been able to do. Or pay off the debt that we've never been able to do. Or buy that second home that we've never been able to do. All right, so these are kind of the things we hear. Often I hear from the wife, I lost myself. Now, I hear that a lot. You know, I just lost myself. The last 8 years, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I'm mom, I'm wife, and I lost myself. And so my direct selling business just brings me the joy, something I can do for me. I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. So yeah, my mom told me after the divorce, she said, you went from being Leslie to John Leslie, which is interesting, but we don't realize that at the time, do we? And I am not one of those, I'm never getting married again. I can't wait to fall in love again. Okay, there is some lucky man out there and he is in for a bargain. Of that, I am sure, right? But it's interesting how, anyways, this is where these stay-at-home moms, this is what we hear a lot. Okay, so back to the story. What do you do? How long have you done it? What do you like? What don't you like? And then the bada boom, the moral of the story is, and it's my direct selling business, or it's my Plexus business that allows me, the teacher. I'll be able to walk away on my terms 5 years early. You know how they're set in a certain schedule. Or maybe for the realtor, she says, for me, it's my direct selling business that's going to allow me to go part-time hours and still have the same financial lifestyle and have more time with my family. Maybe it's a stay-at-home mom who says, it's my direct selling business that allows me to create above average income in part-time hours, working around the needs of the family. You guys get it? This is powerful to have your business story down. If you've ever had the opportunity to talk to someone about Plexus and you heard yourself rambling, you know that it's not as effective that if you didn't ramble. And why do we ramble? Because we don't have a crafted story. It's a fundamental skill. And depending on what you do for a living, people are going to wonder, what the hell are you doing that Plexus for? And you're going to want to have the story, especially, well, it really doesn't matter. There's no special about it. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you come from a 6-figure gig and anywhere in between. Right? People are wondering, why would you build a Plexus business? And you want to be able to relay to them, look, I'm smart, I'm educated, I did my due diligence on this, and let me tell you why I'm doing this. I mean, it's, you know, so many people think there's a little bit of mad money to be earned here. Like there is 6-figure career income available with your Plexus business. We hear stories all the time. We see it all the time. All right, so your story, your business story, fundamental skill, get it down, write it, memorize it, package it, deliver it. Now here's the thing, when you write it, here's a hint. When you write it like you talk. Don't write it like you speak, or don't write it like an essay. Write it like you speak. Right? You're not going to say, oh, I was looking for, you know, the greatest business opportunity I could find. No, you're going to deliver it like we were sitting down over a glass of wine and you were going to enthusiastically tell me what's going down. So write it in jargon and write it the way you speak. Okay? So there's your business story. The third story you have is your company story. Okay? Why Plexus? Why should people take a look at Plexus? And why now? You know, privately owned, unique proprietary products. I mean, you've got these reasons that why people should take a look at Plexus. Expansion happening. Products that truly make a difference in the wellness area. Like, I don't know, do you have how many billion-dollar industry is the wellness industry? Do you guys have a statistic that you normally say? That would be a good thing to find out, right? The anti-aging, the wellness, major market, that's good enough to say. In this major market, it'd be different if I had something, it'd be different if I was selling something red and everybody wanted something blue, right? But doesn't everybody's looking to be healthy? You're addressing a major market. Okay, so you have your business story. And again, for those of you in the Maritimes, I would say, don't just stay myopic in the Maritimes. It's a lovely area, but I would be expanding out. Is the oil still happening in Edmonton? Not as much. All right, you're all making faces. All right, because for a while, like everybody was going there, right? Okay, so it may not be happening anymore. So still, there's a lot of wealth in BC, a lot of wealth in Alberta, okay, a lot of wealth in Ontario. Sorry, you guys, there's not a whole hell of a lot of wealth in the Maritimes, but there's a little bit of wealth. You know what I mean, from an economic lobster, Nancy, still on the lobster. And I think in lumber, right? Not as much. You know, there's not a lot of resources. What's the big resource?
Plexus.
Plexus is most likely, I would say direct selling is probably your biggest opportunity to create above average income. And I've heard that. I mean, no slight, it's a glorious place and it's beautiful, but there's not a lot of economic opportunity. I mean, I'm not the one, that's not new news to you. That's what I'd be saying. I'd be working in the Maritimes, but I'd be strategically reaching out. It's a whole other training, but I would be strategically reaching out. Definitely. And your closest province would probably be Ontario. So, all right. So your stories. So you have your stories. What's another fundamental skill? How you work your list. How you work your list. We talked a little bit about this last week and how people are hiding behind the text, hiding behind the messaging. Nancy, you're not alone, baby. Okay, you're unique, but you are not alone in this. Everybody does it. That's why I talk about it, because everybody does it. Which is why I make a point to not do it. I make a point to make sure that I'm on the phone. So your job depends on how many people you're talking to every week. That's really your job. Like I used to wake up every morning and my business mantra, okay, after I did all my gratitude lists and did my personal stuff, my first business thought of the day is I'm just looking for nice people to talk to. And I said that for years. I'm just looking for nice people to talk to. Okay, I learned in 16 years, if it's anything I learned a lot, but in 16 years, if it was anything I learned, is you got to get out of the house and you talk to more people, period. And you must learn how to do it joyfully. That's the job. Joyfully talking to a lot of people. That's the job in a nutshell. That's it. There's your magic bullet right there. Joyfully talk to more people. And the beautiful thing is with your company is you've got a really compelling story and products that really make a difference and really affordable to get started in the business and your products. I mean, your price point is very affordable. It's below average, actually, right? So you have a very affordable price point for people to get started, which is a good thing. So you should have no price point pushback. Okay, so with your list, you're all using your Facebook. I appreciate that. I want you to, but here's what I challenge my private clients with, and these are top leaders. I challenge them, look, you know people who are not active on Facebook. You do. You just forgot. because you'd rather hide behind the Facebook. You know people that you can pick up the phone and talk to. Now, I don't mind you starting the conversation with a text. That's the way people tend to operate anymore these days. And I get it. But you want to move that conversation to the phone as quickly as possible. So my homework for you would be a strategic list of 10, strategic list of 10, strategic list of 10. I want you to come up with at least, you can do more, 10 names of the sharpest, hippest, grooviest, successful people that you know. And Mark and Angie, I would say 20, 10 each, because you have different spheres of influence. Truly, if I was your sponsor, I'd be telling you, man, you guys should be double dipping. I can't read your lips, Mark.
I was going to say, don't tell Krista that. She's listening.
She knows. Okay, so 10 from each of you, and then we're going to work it. Then 10 more, and then we're going to work it. Then 10 more, and then we're going to work it. You know, here's what I want you to think. When you're blasting out your list, people are blasting out on Facebook all the time, right? And they'll say in a class, "Oh gosh, I'm reaching out to all these people, hundreds of people," but they're not doing the follow-up. If you go back to what the world was like when I was in the field, 1,000 messages on Facebook without the follow-up call is going to get you the same kind of low response as when I used to hand out flyers or cassettes. If you don't know what a cassette is, call your mother. She'll tell you. Okay. So it's the same thing. We used to pass this stuff out. The reason they work is not necessarily the tool, but the fact that I made the follow-up call and got to talk to them. So it's the same thing with Facebook. It is the same thing with Facebook. You can blast all day long. Now, the unique thing with Facebook is stories. So you can, what we call professionally drip on people in a lovely way, in a very effective way, in a fun way. You can run your sales there. You get little promotions, little flash sales. I mean, there's so many cool things you can do. And yet, if you're not talking to anyone. So my challenge, more homework today based on the fundamentals, would be, here's what I want you to do. And I'd say between now and the end of the month, I want you to track how many outreach, how many texts, how many emails, how many outreach, and I want you to compare that number and track how many people are you actually talking to on the phone. And for most of you, this is going to be an eye-opener. For most of you, this is going to be a holy smoke moment. And you're going to realize, wow, I'm really not talking to anybody. And that's going to be why you're not moving at the pace you want. If you're talking to 1 or 2 people a week, that's cool. It's slow. Your business, right? So, working a list. Who do you know that you're not connected to on Facebook? That is going to garner some amazing connections. Who are the people you went to school with? Who is some teachers that impacted you? Who is somebody you used to work with that you're not on Facebook with? Who's friends of your parents or friends of your sister or friends of your neighbors? People you grew up with. People, when you think of really cool, fun people, who comes to mind? In fact, I always challenge myself and the group, when you think about the type of men and women you want to surround yourself with, who comes to mind? And when you think about who you'd love to go into business with, who comes to mind? Write it down. So let's say Susie Q comes to mind, right? So you're going to call her up and say, you know what? I was in a training, or I was in a business meeting. You can posture however you want. I was in a business meeting and they asked us this question. She asked us, when I think about the kind of people I'd love to surround myself with in business, who do you think of? And Susie Q, I thought of you. How about them apples? Authentic. You're reaching out to the people who really can make a difference. Successful people recognize a successful business. Okay, so there's your list. Now, what's another fundamental skill? Okay, I'll go back because you're all writing. So Susie Q, I was asked to think about the type of person I'd like to surround myself with in business, and I thought of you. That's the language. I said that for years because for me, it felt very authentic. And again, I'm only calling the people I thought of. Like if I thought they were a slacker, I'm not calling them. But if I thought they were cool and I wanted to work with them, I could say, you know what? I was challenged to think of the coolest people I'd want to work with. And you know what? I thought of you. I think that's a beautiful way to start the conversation. All right. Another fundamental skill, events. Gosh, and in today's environment, how lucky are you? We can have events face-to-face. We can have business presentations. We can have sip and sees. We can have virtual events. We can have one-on-one. We can do three-way calls. I mean, there's so many different, we can bring people in on Skype. We can bring people in on Zoom. There's FaceTime. There's so many beautiful ways to get the message out to our guests, to prospect via events. So I want you to think about how many events are you having and what does it look like and how consistent? Because really, if you think about it, what is the rhythm of our business? The rhythm is we talk to people, we get some prospects, we put them in the funnel, and then we want a place to drop them into. That's usually some kind of guest-driven event, whether it's a biz up, whether it's a sip and see, whether it's a Zoom event. Right? So then we're out there talking to more people. We need a place to drop them to learn more. We're talking to more people. We need a place to drop them to do more. So if you're doing local events, sip and see, Zoom events, what is the rhythm every month? You want to be in some kind of rhythm. If you're going to do something twice a month, I recommend it's the first week and the third week of the month. Just makes sense. First week of the month, bam, jumpstart the month. So by middle of the month, perhaps we can get them to a decision. So they have 2 weeks left in the month to make something happen. This is how you're going to increase Fast Start Silver, Fast Start Gold. First week of the month, third week of the month, middle of the month, guest-driven events. Why? Get more people in the funnel. So that's going to support our month-end activity. Does this make sense? Nod at me, right? First and third weeks of the month. You might be doing something every week, which is better still. When I hear people doing anything that the last day of the month, now flash sales, that sort of thing is one thing. But as far as guest-driven event, I just don't believe in last day of the month. You should be closing out the month. That's just me. Okay? First week, third week seems to be a good rhythm. Or every week. Okay? And be looking at your calendar. And if you do regular events, whether they're Zoom and or in person, do you have it calendared for at least 90 days out so the people on your team know we got a game plan? First Tuesday, third Tuesday, our events, or however you would do it, so that your team knows. And then you can look 90 days. Leaders are always looking ahead. We're always looking ahead. Let's look at the calendar. Do we have a holiday so we have to change it up? Is there going to be a break? I mean, what do we have to do? Like I always had my event calendar squared away at least 90 days in advance. So events, guest-driven events. What's another fundamental skill? Three-way calls. Do not confuse the fact that you're not comfortable with them, or you don't do them, or you weren't introduced to the business that way, or you don't like them, or you don't understand them. Don't confuse any of that with the fact that it works. Period. All right? The number one tool to help you go fast, three-way conference calling. Three-way conference calling. The people that don't get it or resist, there's nothing I can say except I hope you see the light one day, right? I have so much I could share with you. Why am I talking about three-way conference calls? Because they flat out work. So how do you begin to increase the use of three-way calls? The first thing I want you to consider, well, first let me see a show of hands. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you have ever sponsored an ambassador without doing a three-way call? Raise your hand and just leave it up so I could scroll and see. Okay, everybody. Okay, excellent. So let me point something out. I'm not going to make you all wrong. I'm just going to give you a different perspective to consider. Okay? Just because you can doesn't mean it's right. And let me give you a perspective. When you choose, and it's a choice, when you choose not to do a three-way call during the prospecting process, I mean prior to sponsoring him or her as an ambassador, when you choose not to do a three-way call prior to enrollment, You are choosing to rob them of the behavior you want them to very shortly master. Like, why would we do that? Because then my conversation is, you know, Susie Q, I've never done this with you, but now let me tell you the number one way I can help you go fast. Right? Now, that's not as good a training call as, hey, Susie Q, remember when we did that three-way call a week ago with Krista and you heard her story? And she's going to say, yeah. You say, you know what? I did that on purpose. In fact, three-way conference calls, and now I take it right down to her, is going to be the number one way I can help you work in part-time hours, get off to a fast start, get after that fast start goal bonus, get your first customers, get your first ambassadors, help you create success, and have fun along the way. Now, isn't that a better training? Isn't that a better reinforcement? So just because you can doesn't mean you should. So a different perspective on three-way calls. So the first key is to make sure and do the three-way call during the prospecting process. Now, once you enroll a new ambassador, a business building ambassador, I like to point out the benefits. Now, this is a 5-minute conversation. This is not an hour-long conversation. I like to point out the benefits of three-way call. There's some real tangible benefits. From a business perspective, there are benefits for three-way calling. And I believe that if people understand the benefits of anything, they're more prone to act. So what are the benefits of three-way call? Benefit number one, you get to leverage the expertise of your sponsor. Right? Susie Q doesn't have to wait till she knows it all. I know enough. Right? So you get to leverage the expertise of your sponsor. You get to build learn while you build. That's a beautiful benefit. She doesn't have to wait till she knows it all. Hell, by the time she knows it all, I want her getting a good check. So you learn while you build. What is another benefit of three-way calling? Outstanding time management. Right? So if I just sponsored someone who has only part-time hours, like why should I spend time over here training and over here talking to people when I could do it both at the same time? It's outstanding time management. What's another benefit? It's awesome training. It's a terrific training tool. So if I sponsored Susie Q, I say, look, when I take over, when I come on, when I start doing the call, I want you to have a paper and pencil, and I want you to take notes, and I want you to listen. This is going to be one of the ways I train you. You're going to hear the way I talk about the products, talk about the business, answer objection responses, talk about next steps, talk about price. You're going to hear me give the information. Why is Plexus unique? And this is one of the ways I'm going to train you. As far as I'm concerned, my friends, the faster I can do 10 three-way calls with the new ambassador, the faster I can get her up and running. Done and done. 10 three-way calls. Yeah, it's just, that was always my goal. How quickly can I do 10 three-way calls? I don't want it to be a month from now. I want it to be in the first week. This is how we take action. We do this together. Okay, so great time management, great training. What is another benefit for three-way call? Okay, it is a professional courtesy to the prospect. It's a professional courtesy. They don't care who tells them the information. They just want the information, right? People use three-way conference calling around the world all day, every day. It is a professional courtesy. And the final benefit, highly duplicatable. I bring Susie Q in on a three-way call. This is what she knows. What they know is what they know. What they know is what they do. Okay, so the benefits of three-way call. So do not confuse the fact that you don't dig it or you don't do it or you weren't introduced it that way with the fact that it works. So I would challenge all of you to begin doing more three-way calls. This is how you'll master that fundamental skill, is through practice and repetition. Okay? Now, what is another? That's enough. You know, I really think it's that easy. That simple. It's not easy. People need the discipline, but it's just simple, right? So we have the ether of pace. The foundation would be the reason why. You tell your stories. Who am I going to talk to? You work a list, utilize events, and utilize three-way calling. It can be that simple. It can be that simple. Those are the main fundamentals. That's like in basketball, dribbling, passing, shooting. Those are your fundamentals. Now, if I was going to add something to this, I would add and reinforce the balance message. Like if I open with repetition over and over and over again, I would tie the fundamentals together with the word of balance message, meaning products and business and products. Like as you utilize these fundamentals, don't only focus on the products, don't only focus on the business, unless you're a psychic, right? Unless you're a psychic, and I totally believe in intuitives, but unless you are one, you don't know what their interest is going to be. You don't know if they're going to have interest in the products or the business, so don't try to make it up for them. So don't only talk products, don't only talk business. Balance message. From day one, I feel is really important. All right, my friends. That's our training on fundamentals. Let's open it up for some takeaways. What did you hear today? What did you hear today that was an aha, or something you want to put into practice, or something that it's going to make a difference for your business? All right, I'm going to open it up. The call is yours.
I guess I'll go. I guess my big takeaways, it's not a takeaway, but it was a great reminder, keeping your skills fresh, because it is true. And we all kind of go down through, like in business, up and down, right? With our focus and drive and things like that. So I've noticed that when I am in the valley, I do lose that immediate, quick, passionate response, because you have to think double time on it and bring that to recall of, what worked best with that other person that was so great. And if you're not using that dialogue every day, it is kind of like you have to retrain your brain to get back into the groove again. And so for me, that's big.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having those polished skills. It would be like my taking the stage without having practiced what I'm going to talk about. That's why I can take the stage, and you rarely hear me say, right? It's so rare that I don't have my next thought, because I'm so well practiced.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with prospecting. It's the same thing with talking to new people. It's the same thing with telling your story, answering objection responses, talking about your company.
Mm-hmm. And the same could be true too about like listening to inspirational things or diamond documentaries, just to keep that same format of our dialogue of how we talk about things, and using different phrases that people use that are really great phrases and things. So even keeping ourselves filled up on a daily basis is important.
Agree 100%. That's why we call you Krista. Okay, somebody else, a takeaway from tonight.
I have to do three-way calling. I am guilty. I have not done three-way calling.
Okay, so first of all, remember, I choose to do three-way calls. I don't have to. I don't need to. I choose to do three-way calls. It's a totally different thing. So if you've not done three-way calls up to this point, the longer you think about it and don't act, the bigger the dragon it becomes in your head. But it really shouldn't be at all. It's a little Tweety bird, but you're turning it into a dragon out of the unknown. All right, so what I would recommend, you do a three-way call immediately, today. Do a three-way call with Krista and your mother, your sister, your best friend, somebody, and just get into the rhythm so you can go, what was I thinking? Like, why did I think this was a big deal? How fun is this? Maybe your best prospect right now who's thinking about the products. Or maybe a happy preferred customer now who you want to hear about something different. I don't know. Talk to Krista and figure out. Just step into it, get her done, so you can go, gosh, this is not a big deal. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's set a time frame. You tell me when. 24 hours?
Yep, within 24 hours. I don't even know how to do one. I'm not a techie person.
Okay. So again, remember self-talk?
Mm-hmm.
You are a techie person. There's just things you don't know. You're a very smart woman. You can learn to do anything. You can learn to do a three-way call. Hell, I've learned in 7 years I can fix anything with a hammer and super glue. Okay? So, and when I used to stare at something and go, oh my God, what am I going to do? Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure it out and I can do it. Or call the right person. So you get to call the right person who's going to walk you through how easy it is. Don't give yourself any kind of reason to not be able to do this. You're a bright woman. You just haven't done it. You can be as techie as you choose to be. All right? What did you do for a living?
I used to be a goldsmith. I used to make a design and carve waxes, make jewelry, and now I'm a registered nurse.
Okay, now look at this. What is your first name? It's not coming up.
Lorraine.
Lorraine, for gosh sakes, you can make jewelry.
Yeah.
You can make jewelry. And you're saying I'm not techie? You can make molds for jewelry. Okay. Now, the first time you started learning how to make a mold, did you have some questions? Did someone have to help you?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing with the three-way call. And you're a nurse. Do you think they just let anybody be a nurse? You've shown some type of intelligence and mastering some skills. Were you as good a nurse day one as you are today?
Nope.
Okay. And so you didn't go into it going, well, shit, I'm not a nurse. How am I going to do this? You learned and you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can learn any of the technology. Promise.
Yeah.
All right. Krista, 24 hours, man. You guys are going to burn up the phones. All right. Awesome sauce. All right. Any final comments before we go tonight?
That was great.
Sorry.
I appreciate it. I'm glad, and I'm so happy you all are taking what you're learning and putting it into action, and especially at this time. It's really wonderful to hear. It truly makes me happy. And when Krista writes me, goes, oh my God, they're on fire as soon, so it makes me so happy. So really proud of all of you. Put what you learned into practice this week, and when we come back, is it next week before I go on vacation? Yes, it's next week on Monday. We meet on Monday next week. Monday the 26th, I'm going to tie this all together. Let me make sure the time stays the same, but I think it does. Monday the 26th, same exact time. And I'm going to tie everything together with prospecting and sponsoring. All right? All right, my friends. Have a great week. You're terrific to work with. I'm excited for all of you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.